that you can send someone a link who registered but never got her link? Or is it too late now?
No, yeah, for sure she can. Yeah. Just yeah, she definitely can. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. If I email it to you, will that help?
No, because then I'd have to get off, and never mind. I just told her over the phone. We're very
sorry. Just we're on Facebook. We're everywhere. Let me put it in the chat, and then you can I don't know. I put it in the chat.
No,
I'm not really sure exactly how to do that. I'm just have to go to our website, which is www.natureisrael.org, and then look for one of the three images at the front rotates, and it'll take her to the webinar page, and then she can come in from there, or she can re-sign up again on Zoom. Like, it's not a big.
Let's see if we can do this.
She can re-sign up on Zoom. There's not a limit to doing that. Really, there you go. Yeah, I hope that helps. Hi everyone. Hi Sylvia, and hi Rabbi Joel. I think Joel. Joel.
Okay.
Well, I think you've got a few fans here, from what I understand. Have a
good, Gila. I just was going to tell you how to do it, but if you got it, that's great. Thanks. Okay, Gila. Bye.
Okay.
Okay, that solved that.
Okay. So we have a few new people who don't really understand that we only do questions at the end. But on this special occasion, I'm just going to ask. I'll start with this question for you, Paul. How does it feel to be one of the great rabbinic luminaries of our time?
I am taken completely by surprise that someone should describe me that way. I am more like a low watt bulb.
Well, it might help you, as I said, it's from Mika, Itai, and Yona. So.
Oh, well, that's my son and two grandsons. No wonder. Now I don't have to cut off their allowance, do I?
See, they know how to play it. Anyway, hi everyone. Hi Hadassah, hi Larry in Florida, and Hadassah in New York. Hi Dr. Miroslav Dimajo, who's in Serbia, who is joining us. Excellent. Let me see who else is here on the list. There's some people. My mother-in-law's here again. Lovely to see her. Mary is here. Hi, Mary. Hi, Barb in New Hampshire. Hi, Michael in Madison. Hi, Ellie in Cape Cod. Hi, Sarit in Arad.
Wonderful.
Very international crowd. Hi, Nancy in Houston, and with her husband, Roger. Excellent. I'll make sure to note that as in my, how many people watch with like a +1 there. Hi, Judy. Hi, Albert in Spain, in Valencia.
Wow. Olé.
Hi, Loretta in Toccoa. Amazing. See some, hi, Maggie and Leon in New Jersey. That's where they're from. I see some Judith from the UK, from London, the homeland. Lovely to see such a big British crowd that we have. Awesome. I think we're going to get started in about 1 or 2 minutes. Got a really special webinar with us for you guys tonight. Something a little bit different. So hope you enjoy it. Let us know what you think and whether we should do something like this again or not. Hi, Blanche, my good friend Blanche in Florida. Yeah, got some new people. I think some new people, some old people. Hi, Judy. I think she's in Jerusalem, if I remember correctly, and her husband as well. So there you go. It's another +1. Got a couple of calling listeners. Okay, I think time to bring. Hi, David in DC and Carol in Sarasota. I'm going to actually show Paul, I think. No, you know what? I'll bring Jay in. Jay, welcome. I didn't share my screen with have all the useful information. There you go.
Hello, hello. Hi, welcome everybody. 85 people or so on here on Zoom, and usually a couple dozen on Facebook. Welcome. My name is Jay Shofar, coming from Tel Aviv. You've been hearing from Lawrence Casimir of the Society for the Protection of Nature, like I am. Lawrence is at his home in Modi'in, and we have a really impressive, exciting webinar tonight. I'm excited. We're going a slightly different direction today. We're hearing about the land of Israel, but from a more spiritual perspective. Rabbi Paul Citron, our own Rabbi Paul Citron, on the board of the American Society for the Protection of Nature, and Cantor Beth Cohen will be coming to us from Albuquerque. We're excited to be hosting them, and looking forward to here. We're at Rosh Chodesh Elul. It's the month of spiritual reflection before the Chagim, before the Jewish holidays set in. Rosh Hashanah's 4 moons from now. And we thought this would be an appropriate time to begin to think about that, perhaps from the nature perspective. Our next webinar, you can see on the screen, is going to be on Sunday, September 6th, 2 weeks from now. A really special event also, hosted by Alen Kakal of the Jerusalem Bird Observatory, the Neely and David Jerusalem Bird Observatory. We're going to hear about how youth at risk are empowered in their conservation volunteering in Jerusalem. Really, really interesting stuff. Anyway, so we're going to be, we're going to enjoy tonight the strings of the lovely Beth Cohen, who I had the pleasure of meeting a few minutes ago on the pre-Zoom. I happen to know she's from Newton, but she's been in New Mexico for quite a while. She's a well-known vocalist, musical multi-instrumentalist, and music teacher in New Mexico. She served as Cantor and music director at Congregation Nachalat Shalom in Albuquerque. She has been very involved in klezmer music and dance. She has a Bachelor of Music degree from the University of New Mexico, and she's been involved in a lot of really interesting musical stuff. And at least as importantly, she loves bird watching and snowshoeing. She's a member of the local Audubon Society Sierra Club and the Rio Grande Nature Center. Thrilled to have you here, Beth. And I will now turn it over to Rabbi Paul Citron, who I mentioned is a board member, a new board member, the newest board member of the American Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel. I should mention we have affiliates in the United States, in Toronto, Director Robin Gordon, our affiliate in Toronto, the Canadian Society with Avi Sadiv and Michael Meyer, who's the development director there. Avi's the executive director. You can be in touch with those people. We'll have the links up here. We can get you in touch with those people. Appreciate the work they do. Also, we have volunteers in the United Kingdom, in London, and in Paris. Thrilled to have people from Europe here tonight as well. So I will just tell you, Rabbi Citron is a native of LA. He's a third-generation Californian. He got his Bachelor of Arts in History from UCLA. He spent a year in Jerusalem during his rabbinical studies. He was ordained from Hebrew Union College in 1973. The focus of his rabbinate has always been congregational life. His passions are education, interfaith dialogue, Israel and social justice. He founded the Jewish Catholic Dialogue of Albuquerque, which over the years has expanded to include Protestants and Muslims. Served on the board of the Martin Luther King Multicultural Council. He's written a children's book. He's written a high holiday prayer book for young people. We're going to put up in the chat section, Lawrence is going to upload the full bios of Rabbi Citron and Cantor Beth. And so with no further ado, Rabbi, thank you so much for being here. Beth too, and looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jay. I assume I am unmuted.
You are.
Good, wonderful. Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning as it is here in New Mexico and even earlier in California. It's really a joy to be with you, and I'd like to extend my thanks to Iris Hahn, the CEO of Nature Israel, and staff, Jay, whom you've met, and Lawrence Casimir, who has done so much technically to make this program workable. I also want to extend my thanks to Robin Gordon, who's the executive director of ASPNI and who encouraged me to nominate myself to sit on the national board, and also send my greetings and appreciation to the ASPNI board co-chairs, Russell Rothman and Leon Sokol. And I especially want to thank my friend, my colleague, Cantor Beth Cohen, for what will make this morning a truly beautiful presentation. It is an honor for me and really personally very fulfilling to accept Nature Israel's invitation to speak to you during this month of Elul, which has just begun. It is our month of preparation for the High Holy Days. Now, it feels natural for me to speak about Israel, that the land is our shofar. I have lived in Israel on a kibbutz for 10 weeks. I have studied in Israel for a year. And I would guess that over the past 40 years, I've probably taken about 18 groups to Israel on study tours. Well, during 24 days of the month of Elul, that is to say, excluding the Shabbatot, the shofar is sounded to remind us of—
Paul, can you come a bit closer to the microphone, please?
Yes, thank you. Okay. During the 24 days of Elul, not counting the Shabbatot, the shofar is sounded to remind us that this is a period of self-examination and reflection to prepare for Rosh Hashanah and the 10 days of repentance. On Rosh Hashanah, I'm sure you know, it is considered a mitzvah, a religious duty, to hear personally the sound of the shofar with the long blast of Tekiyah, the 3 wavering sounds of Shvarim, and the 9 staccato tones of Tru'ah. Now, these shofar sounds convey to us 3 essential messages. The first message, I would say, is wake up to your life, connect to the environment, and shatter your complacency. The Shvarim tells us to break our temptation to deplete and destroy the environment, restrain our gluttony and our material greed in order to protect our resources. The insistent Tru'ah summons us to sacrificial dedication as a community to work for the well-being of the environment. Now, today I want to go beyond thinking of the shofar merely as the ram's horn. And while it is uplifting to hear the ram's horn annually, we have in our lives an even more beautiful shofar. We have a shofar to keep us mindful throughout the year. And the shofar of which I speak is Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. The land calls us with many sounds, wind and water, migrating birds, and joyous hikers. So now Cantor Beth Cohen helps us remember the beauty of the land, singing the poem Hoi Artsi Moladati by Chernyakhovsky, and there's a translation of this beautiful song provided on your screen.
Hoi artsi moladati, atrashim kereiach, eter ulbeseu gdi, zahav hadar sameach, min zarim gal matzeva, kipot bayit moshava, lo noshava, zayit et zayit, Eretz, Eretz Morasha, Tekera Kapayim, Keter Katzava Rasha, Nachak Mahamayim, Reyach Padesei Aviv, Shitzitza Gamelek, Chelcholot Layam Saviv, Zeshik Man נחלת מפרסים, קסם כוכבי לכת, הל וזעם החמסים, מלונה בשלכת, כרם גפנים לונים, תרחוב הנחרשת, כל לילות תבננים, מחשבה נוקשת, אוי אוי ארץ הנדלם, השמיר, השעיר, בירסות יתום בגב, בשמיים היי, ריח פרדסי אביב, שיר צלצל במלך, וים של אור טובי הכל, ועל פני כל החלק, ריח פרדסי אביב, שיר צלצל במלך, וים של אור טובי הכל, ועל פני כל החלק.
תודה, Beth.
Yeah, I think you can continue, Paul.
Okay, thank you. באמת זה שיר הנכנס ללב. This is a song that really enters and touches my heart. I want to begin with Yerushalayim as the land's tekiah. And there are two reasons for this. One is rooted in archaeology, and another one in the words of the liturgy. Archaeology has revealed something magical. Amidst the rubble of an excavation of a Roman period road right near the Kotel, archaeologists found a sizable stone inscribed with the words, Levet HaTekiyah, which means to the place of the Tekiyah. That stone was thought to have originally been set at the top of the wall, the southwestern corner of the Kotel. But when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem, they threw that stone down. Apparently, that stone marked the place where a priest would go every Erev Shabbat and Erev Chag to sound the Tekiyah, to let Jerusalem and its environs know that it is time to cease work. And from that stone, we know that Yerushalayim was a place of Tekiyah. The liturgical reason we call Yerushalayim a place of Tekiyah is because Malchuyot were recited. Malchuyot are biblical verses which reaffirm the sovereignty of God. And we still recite Malchuyot during the Shofar service in our synagogues. But I want to suggest to you that today Yerushalayim is the symbol of Malchuyot, of the sovereignty of the Jewish people in its land and in its capital city. When we look at symbols of our sovereignty in Yerushalayim, we see on the hill the Knesset, the Israel Museum, Hadassah Hospital, two campuses of the Hebrew University. And as we walk about the city, we smell the pines and we play as a free people in its parks. We hike the Judean hills with their wild mushrooms and cyclamen. And from Mount Scopus, on a clear day, we can see the Dead Sea in the distance. And we can go to the park right in the middle of Jerusalem, which preserves endangered Persian gazelles. Or we can head to the west side of town to the magnificent Jerusalem Zoo. The renewal of our Malchuyot, our sovereignty in the land and in Yerushalayim, is our Tekiyah, to awaken us to the treasure we have, to alert us to protect its delicate environment and ecology. Yerushalayim sounds Tekiyah, to warn us against overbuilding, under-planning, and destroying our resources in pursuit of profit. Yerushalayim is our Tekiyah, calling us to be a community of commitment to protect the natural environment and its people.
אוויר הרים סלוק היין וריח אורנים נישא ברוח הבאים עם כה פעמונים ובתרדמת אילן ואבן שבויה בחלומה העיר אשר בתר יושבת ובליבה חומה ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכו שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכו שירייך אני כינור חזרנו אל בורות המים לשוב בכיכר שופר קורא בהר הבית בעיר העתיקה ובמות אשר בסלע אלפי שמשות צורחות נשוב נרד אל ים המלח בדרך יריחו ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לחול שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לחול שירייך אני
Moving north from Yerushalayim, we go up to the Galil and Golan. They are our shivarim. Shivarim are three quavering notes, which suggest to me the tremendous effort and energy Jews have expended to survive both in ancient and modern towns and villages in the north. And when I think of those quavering sounds of shivarim, I think of the bubbling waters of the north, the Don River, which is a major source of the Jordan as it rushes through its tropical landscape, the trickling Banya stream on the Golan, and the soft flowing waters of the Hula Preserve, which sustains birds and reptiles, fish and mammals. And I remember the regal Kinneret with its waves gently lapping on the shore until the afternoon winds drive those waves hard. And when I hear the sound of the shvarim in the north, I think of our people's zichronot, our historic memories in Eretz Yisrael. You know, despite exile, we never forgot the land during the last 1800 years. And through our calendar and our rituals and our celebrations, we have been tied to the land. And further, there has always been a continuing Jewish presence in the Galil. And thus, when we remember the Kinneret's waters, we also recall Tiberias, one of the holy cities, along with the mystical spot further north. And when I think of the synagogue at Bar Am, which our ancestors carved out of the local basalt, it to me symbolizes our obligation not to obliterate, but to blend positively with the landscape. And as I walk on the boardwalk through the Hula Preserve, and hear the shvarim of its waters and animal life, I can't help but remember these words from our nature psalm, Psalm 104. You made the springs gush forth in torrents. They make their way between the hills, giving drink to all the wild beasts. The wild donkeys slake their thirst, and the birds of the sky dwell beside them and sing among the foliage. Indeed, 550 million birds migrate through the Hula annually. And when I recall the park of the three pools, Gan Hashlosha, in Arabic, Sachna, filled by the warm waters of the Amal stream, I remember how nature embraces us and we are embraced by it. And yet when I dive into the jarringly cold waters at the pool at Horshat Tal, I am briskly awakened to the Shvarim of the north. The bubbling, flowing waters of the north are our shofar call of Shvarim. They hold our zichronot, our memories of beauty and beautiful times, memories of our yearning to be part of the environment.
כשאימא באה הנה יפה וצעירה, אז אבא על גבעה בנה לבית. חלפו האביבים חצי מהעברה, וטלטלים חפשו צבע בינתיים. אבל על חוף ירדן כמו מאומה לא קרה, אותה הדומיה וגם אותה התובורה. חושבה אקליפטוס בגשר הסירה, וריח המלוח המים. חושבה אקליפטוס הגשר הסירה, וריח המלוח המים. מעבר לירדן מול התוקפים, והשלום חזר בסוף הקיץ, וכל התינוקות היו לאנשים, ושוב על הגבעה הקימו בית. אבל על חוף ירדן כמו מאומה לא קרה, אותה הדומיה וגם אותה התובורה. חושך אקליפטוס הגשר הסירה, וריח המלוח המים. חושך אקליפטוס הגשר הסירה, וריח המלוח על המים.
The third blast of the shofar, 9 staccato notes, is called tru'ah. In ancient times, that blast was an alarm to assemble for war. But other biblical references understand tru'ah to be a sounding of joy. And when I travel south to the Negev and the Arava, the land calls to me with shouts of joy. And when I walk through the waterfalls of Nahal David at Ein Gedi, or the stream at Ein Avdat, or along the shore of the Dead Sea, I am filled with joy of being part of the landscape. Masada and the copper hills of Timnah sound the tru'ah of strength and of a flourishing nation. Kibbutz Ne'otz Madar Gives me joy to see their 500 dunams of organic vineyards and olive trees, date palms and herbs which the farm produces. The truah sound of the South always reminds me of this description of the land in Deuteronomy. For the eternal, your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams, springs, and fountains, issuing from plain and hill, a land of wheat and barley, vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land whose rocks are iron and from whose hills you can mine copper.
לך לך למדבר, הדרכים יובילו לעיר טרם בא, לך אחי אל המדבר, שוב שוב נחזור, הצוקים ירינו, שמש גדולה של אור, תזרח עלינו למדבר, ארץ לא מים, את אדמתי ישבנו אלייך למדבר, ארץ לא מים, עד אדמתי ישבנו אלייך, ארץ מלוכה רוח וזעם, הלוחמים חזרו, חזר למדבר, ארץ לא מים, עד אדמתי ישבנו אלייך למדבר, ארץ לא מים, עד אדמתי ישבנו אלייך, לך לך למדבר, הדרכים יובילו לעיר טרם בא, לך אחי אל המדבר, שוב שוב נחזור, הצוקים ירינו, שמש גדולה של אור, תזרח עלינו למדבר, ארץ לא מים, עד אדמתי שבנו אלייך למדבר, ארץ לא מים, עד אדמתי שבנו אלייך, ארץ מלוכה רוח וזעם, הלוחמים חזרו, חזר למזר, ארץ לא מים, עד אדמתי שבנו אלייך למדבר, ארץ לא מים, עד אדמתי שבנו אלייך.
It was in the desert at Sinai that a divine shofar was sounded to call the Jewish people into being. That sound was a call to meet our destiny as a people of morality and justice. In our High Holy Day liturgy, we call those sounds which are reminiscent of Sinai, shofarot. The shofarot are a summons to step forward, to create a future of harmony, wholeness, and peace. Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion heard the Negev's truah sound and proclaimed the south of Israel, the place of the future for thriving agriculture and for human growth through the stewardship of the desert. Rabbi Tzvi Blanchard of the National Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership speaks of what Ben-Gurion envisioned. Blanchard said, when we take the possibilities inherent in creation and make them real in our environment, we also transform ourselves and our world. Friends, as we stand at the threshold of 5781, with all of its strife and struggle, we do well to hear the shofar calls of Eretz Yisrael. Those calls, by the way, also summon Israeli Arabs, Palestinians in the West Bank, and Jordanians to nurture the land and its ecology. Nature Israel reaches out to include them as part of a bridge of environmental commitment and of peace. We especially need to listen actively to the Tekiyah, calling us to protect and preserve Israel's natural environment. And we do so by joining and contributing to American SPNI. And to do so, all you need to do is link to www.aspni.org. We can respond to the flowing shvarim of the land's extraordinary magnetism, by committing ourselves to travel to Israel and to immerse ourselves in its surrounding when this Corona-19 is defeated. What better way to celebrate our lives? I will be leading an ASPNI nature tour to Israel in 2021. And when it is publicized, I hope you will consider responding to the call and to join our Nature Israel guide and me. The joyous Truah calls us to look to the future of Eretz Yisrael. It invites us to model responsible stewardship of the environment and to sustain and support the plant and animal life, indigenous and migrating. It asks us to feel ourselves rooted in the land. Now, should you say to me, but I live in North America, I am not in Israel, how can I hear its shofar calls? Here is my answer. If you have not been to Israel, go at your earliest opportunity. And if you have been to Israel, return and renew your personal connection. And even if such a trip is not possible for you, I remind you that we are one family with the Jews of Israel. And so the well-being of the land of Israel is our concern and our responsibility as well. The shofar calls of the land remind us that we are shareholders in the great venture of Jewish sovereignty in the Jewish state. There is no more effective way to bolster and develop our homeland than participating in and contributing to ASPNI. The work of ASPNI and of Nature Israel is based on the ancient value called Chibat Haaretz, love of the land. And as with any love, love for the land of Israel requires nurturing, tending, commitment, and active support. I hope you will develop your love for the land of Israel by becoming an active ASPNI member. For if we think of the land as our shofar, we remember these words from the Midrash Eliyahu Zuta, which says, the shofar was created for the sake of the welfare of the people of Israel. May the new year bring us, our family in Israel and around the world, renewal of commitment, purpose, and activism.
Eli, שלא ייגמר לעולם, החול והים, רישרוש של המים, ורק השמיים, תפילת האדם, החול והים, רישרוש של המים, ורק השמיים, תפילת האדם. My God, may these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rustle of water, the crash of the heavens, the prayers of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayers of the heart.
Paul?
Yes, Jay. I see we have over 40 chat notices.
Not too many questions, but have you finished now? Was that our?
That was the conclusion. I'm sorry. I thought you had our little written document.
Okay,
yes.
no, I didn't.
Other than to say, again, Jay, you and Lawrence have my profound thanks. The people who joined us don't know that up until 2 minutes of, I was having serious computer problems, which you all solved. And I would like to thank you, Beth. I'm telling you, as we say in the French, you made me verklempt on a number of occasions. Just choked up the beauty of the songs you sang.
Well, I could say the same about you. A few times I almost started crying before I could sing.
Love fest. Thank you both so much. It really a very meragesh, a really emotional, uplifting, inspiring presentation from you, Rabbi, and Beth. Also, the songs were beautiful. There were many comments in the sections, and 90% of them are just saying how great this presentation is, and what a great song selection. And a lot of people wish they could sing along. Lawrence actually can't unmute anybody, and I told everybody, Beth, that you forbid me to sing along. So that's, but I put a smiley face.
Well, people can still sing along. It's just if it's muted.
I did sing along, and I saw the Rabbi was singing along too. Although
I did too. Yeah.
Yes. No, it was very.
It was great music selection too, and I had learned like 4 of these new songs. So.
Yes. Yes. There was one question. I have a couple of things I want to say about your talk, and a question or two for you, Rabbi. But there was one question from someone who asked about the mask. Must the shofar have a mask? I've seen articles about this.
Must the shofar have a mask?
This, yes, on this holiday to prevent the spread
because of COVID.
I've actually seen an article about that.
Well, you know, it's the first I've ever heard of that idea. It would strike me that even if we were in person, most of the community would be at a distance from the Baal Tekiah, the one who's sounding the shofar. And I'm no medical expert, but I would believe that its range and direction would be somewhat limited. I know in Albuquerque, we're going to have a drive-by hearing of the shofar with about 100 shofar rote being sounded. Wow. I don't think they're going to have a mask, but that's interesting. I'd have to look into that. It's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just going to say I hope they're not mixing up Purim and Rosh Hashanah.
This year you could.
Yes.
There actually was another question from somebody named Micha Citron, who asks, how is it to be the rabbinic luminary of our time?
If in case the watching audience doesn't know, Micha is my elder son, and I usually give him a script of the questions he should ask. He is a rabbi together with his wife, Karen Citron. They share a pulpit in Westwood, Massachusetts. And I like to say of them, they are the new improved model.
Wow. That's great. Where in Western Mass?
No, Westwood, Mass, which is,
Westwood.
I think, southwest of Boston, 20 minutes.
Gotcha. Cool. It just kind of reminds me of, I was at a stand-up 3 election cycles ago. I was at a stand-up comedy show for Meretz, and Tommy Zandberg was running for the first time as head of Meretz, and she said, you know, since I was elected the head of Meretz and the election came in, I'm getting all these comments on my Facebook page, you know, Tommy, you should be prime minister. Tommy, you're the smartest and the most beautiful person running. And I had to call her up and I had to say, Mom, people can see that it's you writing.
Exactly.
So thank you for that. All of a sudden I'm getting feedback. Is anybody getting feedback? Oh, okay.
Yeah, your feedback. If you've got it open on Facebook or something, Jay.
Okay, now I'm not. Good. Okay, so listen, Paul, really, really impressive. I have to say I've never heard that analogy before. I was intrigued by the title of your talk, and Wow, the land is a shofar. You're taking us from the tekiah of Jerusalem and really giving us the sights and smells of Jerusalem and the streets and the animals and the plants and the birds. And I thought it was very well done. And then taking us up to the Shvarim of the whole Galilee and the Golan, but especially the Hula, such a special place. And I just wanted to say that remind us all that although in Jerusalem and in the Galilee and in the Hula and in the desert too, it looks like nature is back. It looks like the way the Bible describes it, with the torrents of water and the birds and the beasts all being together. And you can see that in Israel, thanks in no small part to the Society for the Protection of Nature. But it maybe belies a bigger story that's happening, which is that the comeback is being threatened. Climate change and habitat loss and habitat fragmentation are all very, very serious issues that we're dealing with. SBNI as the leader of the environmental movement, but the environmental policy community in general is facing these issues. It would be good if we had a stable government for a while to look at these issues, but these are the types of things we're going to look at among admiring the beauty of nature on the trip that you discussed. So thank you for promoting your own trip and the ASPNI's trip. By the way, I do want to mention you spoke well about ASPNI, but there's many Canadians listening tonight and on the webinar as usual. Our friends, Carl Mandel, the chair in Canada, is here, as well as Leon and Maggie. Leon, chair in the US, as you had mentioned. But the Canadians can donate to the Canadian Society in Canadian dollars with a tax-exempt donation. In Canada, you can also do that in pounds and in pound sterling and in euro through choosing the French or British flags on our web page, or going into our donation page. It gives you a choice of currencies. So,
Jay,
yeah,
if I may, number one, I just want to convey that I have the feeling that not only in Israel, but at the world at large, that all environmental efforts are going to be exemplary. They already are in Israel, and I have great confidence in Israel to begin to get a handle, at least regionally, on certain environmental challenges. Now, you said something about attending a merits convention, so I guess I can say something that sort of borders on the political also, which is this. It strikes me that there is a lot of division of political points of view in Israeli society, and there's certainly a lot of division in North American Jewish society about issues going on in Israel, particularly politically. All of that division makes Nature Israel and ASPNI all the more important to bring us together as a people on issues we all agree are crucial and that we can all be committed to.
Amen. Amen. And that is true in Israel as well. We work across the aisle, as you say in America. We work with all of the parties and have support and pushback from all the parties. So it's very true, and there's just so much that needs to be done for Israel in the civic sense. Civic, not just and what needs to go on here to make Israel a more livable, breathable, greener, more sustainable place. And those are things that we do and we should all agree on. So thank you very much for that. I do have to say though, Rabbi, that as you were going around the tekiah of Jerusalem and the truah of the Galilee, the Shvarim, am I going in the right order? And then the Shvarim you left for the desert. All I can wonder is, where is Tel Aviv? Where is my Israel in the shofar call of the land?
I mean, know what? It was just a matter of observing the time that I thought I had allotted initially.
Oh.
And somehow Tel Aviv needs to have a jazzy song.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
I'm not sure which, or maybe Tel Aviv is the is the alto sax of the country rather than the shofar.
Excellent. Excellent. I like that a lot.
And you know, I didn't mention Lawrence's hometown of Modi'in and Lapid. I love those areas. And then we had a participant who signed in from, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I've done a blank on the town in the Arad.
Oh,
And I haven't been there for many years, but I love it.
so many beautiful places. You know, Israel is a tiny country, but with really incredible topographical and climatic and biodiversity. But I have to say, my square mile, say from Tel Aviv port to Jaffa port, and a half-mile inland to the Ayalon, I mean, that's pretty much a huge part of the world for me, and the biodiversity is amazing. So
I agree.
yeah. Great.
So,
let me see. I'll look at the questions again. We were just getting compliments, and you should take some time to look at them, Rabbi and Beth, if you have not looked into the climate section, the comment section here.
Indeed.
You mean in the chat?
They travel to Israel with you, and books are being, yeah. So really, thank you very much. I think we can, Ya Habibi Tel Aviv. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the song.
That's from Daniel Pava, who lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And
I know Daniel, yeah.
Yeah, with whom I work to promote ASPNI. Let's see, from Ronnie Sims. Ronnie used to live in Arad. She and I teach a Hebrew class together.
Cool.
Lawrence said it on the chats, but we really want to wish safety to all the people in California now. I see friends on Facebook have been marking themselves safe in the fires. You know, it's something that's happening every year. The fires are growing every year there, and climate change is a factor in everything that's going on. We just found out that last year was again the 19 of the 20 hottest years on record. That record continued last year as well, and this year first half of it has not been good. I have family in Houston. We're following the hurricanes in the tropics now. So nature, it's a great wonder out there. So
Jay,
really
I was just to say, my colleague and friend, Rabbi Joel Schwartzman, sent a comment in about doing a program on Tel Aviv and environs in terms of non-human life in the area. So maybe in the future we can do that.
Well, 2 weeks ago we had a talk, or a month ago maybe, on bats, and they are very common denizens in Tel Aviv. It was a really interesting deep dive into the world of bats, but not just the fruit bats, and especially not the fruit bats around Tel Aviv. But most of the bat species in Israel are insectivores.
And birds, I want to do, if you do one on birds, I want to be part of it.
Oh, we've done many on birds. Birding is one of our fortes and most important things that we do.
I know that from all my Audubon buddies here. They're like, they can't believe I haven't been to Israel, at least to go to see the birds. I'm like, well, I want to go.
You gotta go.
I want to, one of these days.
A lot of interesting stuff going on, and we've had a lot of the webinars. You can go in, for everybody, you should know that this webinar as well, if you have friends who want to see it, will be up as soon as Lawrence gets it uploaded. It will be on our website. It's the /webinar at the end of our website, and many of the past, I don't know, we might have 20 of them on there so far, and probably more than half are on birds, the bird migration, the bird observatories. We've done bird banding.
Cool.
So
yeah, well, I'll pass on your site to my Audubon guys here. Because, you know, we do programs like we used to do it every month on Thursday night at the place, but now they've been doing some webinars. Maybe they could hook up with you guys and we could do something. That would be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jay, on another subject, can you update us a bit on what Nature Israel may be doing lobbying-wise in terms of monitoring the offshore gas drilling? Do you watch it?
Oh yeah, we watch it very, very carefully, and we were very involved and in the middle of the vortex of the struggle that's been going on about where that platform was going to be over the last couple of years of virulent debate. We thought it should actually be on land in the very first go around because it's just the safest and the place where if there is an ecological disaster, it can be most cared about. And we didn't want it out in the 40 kilometers out in the territorial waters of Israel, because if there was a spill out there, it would be a horrendous disaster in the Eastern Mediterranean. So that's why it's 9 kilometers offshore. We and several other environmental organizations are on it, observing it as much as possible, keeping on top of the environmental ministry, which is doing a lot of regulations of what's going on there, a lot of monitoring. And now Chevron has bought Noble Energy. I understand it's not a done deal yet. There's a lot of issues involved in that. Chevron is the 6th biggest oil company in the world, and it's very interesting entry into the Israeli market here. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. But we're advancing solar energy. I mean, you know, gas is a good bridge to the cleaner energy we need, but solar energy, especially on rooftops, is something that has got to be doing immediately, and it's happening now. Finally, at an acceptable pace.
There are 2 questions here, Jay.
Yes, is there a recording of the BAT seminar? Yes, as I mentioned. Lawrence, maybe could you put up that that link in the chats? The webinars where all of our last listed. Is there another question?
Jay, is the Jerusalem office of SPNI still in or near the Russian compound?
No. So Beit Sergei, which was a beautiful Russian compound built in the early part of the 20th century, where SPNI had its offices for many, many years, several decades. Basically, we were kicked out. Putin nationalized the complex, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, and kicked us out. We lost a court case, and they created a sort of a boutique hotel that never really opened. It's clearly a front for Russian spy activities. I would probably be targeted for saying that now, but no, we're nowhere near. We're in an even better place, though. It's the Levi Eshkol House. It's the home of the first Israeli prime ministers on Beit Maimon. It's a reconstructed home that Ben Gurion lived in, and then Golda Meir, where her kitchen was, her kitchen cabinet, and then Levi Eshkol was there last, and together with the foundation and the Eshkol Heritage Foundation, that's where it's reconstructed as a curated first floor as the way Eshkol lived, and Golda's kitchen, and the rest of it is SPNI offices in Jerusalem.
Somebody else is asking the question about, I think it's Murray Titel, about the incendiary balloons being sent over the border, and how is monitoring and dealing with that going? From Gaza.
Hello, Murray from Toronto. Yeah, I just saw a piece about that on the news the other night, a couple nights ago, with the local ranger from the Nature and Parks Authority. It's their bailiwick, the kind of urgent response teams. Also, the JNF foresters are down there putting out fires. We don't know the damage yet. The truth is, we don't really know the damage in the previous rounds either, because there were never really good surveys done in that area in the first place. So it's sad. There's, you know, the animals that can't escape, the animals that can escape are finding themselves without habitats, and the small ones on the ground are being burned. And it is sad and tragic, but not the main issue or close to it of the incendiary.
Well, Jay, thank you so much for this kind invitation to Beth and me. It was such a joy to be part of it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you guys for answering the call of the Shofar.
And Shana Tova Umetuka Uvaria.
Absolutely. And as we're saying in Jerusalem now, not just Shavua Tov, but Shavua Tov Utzodek.
Indeed.
A good and just week.
Yes.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Okay,
thanks so much.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Participants.
Bye.
Bye.